Now, if there's one thing that's likely to get in the way of voters in Nigeria making informed choices in the upcoming election, it's political partisanship, which often moves the focus away from the common good. So, the foundation known as Nigeria and Entrepreneurship Summit and Honors, or NESH, founded by the entrepreneur Emeka Ugwuoju, has decided to apply its heft and business contacts in a non-partisan way to help steer the many Nigerians who lack a proper understanding of the complexities of this country's politics and its voting process. To achieve this, NESH says it's partnering with the Nigerian Governors Forum, the Association of Local Governments, and the Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce. Mr. Ugwuoju says he and his team are aiming to visit all the 36 states and Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria before next month's election. No, he says, it isn't a political stunt, but a genuine way of motivating people ahead of the 2023 ballot. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Emeka Ugwuoju, founder of Nigeria and Entrepreneurship Summit and Honors Foundation, or NESH. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
You do know that NESH in the British English dialect means something that is weak and delicate, feeble and infirm. Obviously, you're using NESH as an acronym, yes, but it's worth keeping in mind that there is a word actually called NESH, and it conveys a different meaning from your acronym.
Thanks for educating me on that. we learn every day.
Having said that, let's move on to the very important work that you're embarking on, which is educating Nigerians about everything to do with the 2023 election, including voting wisely, understanding the vision and manifestos of the leading candidates, and the process and complexities of the ballots. Tell us more.
Yeah, Charles, if you permit me, because it will help our discussion, for me to just give a brief background.
Very brief.
Of where I'm coming from. Yes. I was a banker for 10 years, retired, and after that became an entrepreneur, and subsequently became very active in social activism. That some people will not believe it. My 50th birthday, when Paya Adebanjo talked about our activities in Nadeco, so like Emeka, but I was really very much involved in Nadeco. That in December 1995.
And Nadeco was the organization that was fighting.
Democratic Coalition, yes.
Right,
yes,
the military.
Democracy in Nigeria. The march that took place in Yaba, which Pa Enahoro led, we were in the front line, and as it police tear gassed us, and there was some sort of pandemonium, I ended up having a separated shoulder, which I had to go for surgery in the United States. So that was like my
been in the trenches, basically.
Badge of democratic activism.
Right.
Then something else personal in April 14, 2002, on Palomar Bridge, as I was going home, I was encountered by some bad people, and they shot me all over, so I was almost like dead. So people react differently from certain things, and for me, since that day, become any extra day is a bonus. So I take my decisions in certain ways that other people do not take it, and that's sort of removes a lot of materialism from my things. So I look out for common good. So that gives a bit of
well, that's
background.
A very interesting. I've never heard the story before, and I'm actually very impressed. But I mean, I know that you were an activist at some point, but I didn't know the details of it. So in many ways, I think you've sort of earned your wet wings, and so now your aim is to give back to society, and one of the ways you're doing it is to try and ensure that people are well educated ahead of the 2023 election.
Yes, I think in the intro that we gave, I said Nigeria is really at a crossroad. If we don't get it right, then, we are called NESH, Nigerian Entrepreneurs. If we don't get it right, there might not be something called Nigerian, there will be no Nigerian entrepreneurs. So we really have to do something. And certain things happen, which I would say one of the most important was that of the event Pastor Ugwuoju Oyemade had October 1, 2022, which, you know, he has something annually over the past 15 years, but this particular edition was titled A Better Nigeria is Possible. Why, what, how, and what the next leadership should do. And 10 presenters presented ideas that is not me, is not you, but people from different backgrounds that I listened to it several times. I said, if we just have to let Nigerians know the nuggets in this thing and ensure that we use this next election as a foundation for what we now call a new and better Nigeria. But the summary of it is leadership, leadership, leadership counts. So we have to make sure that the right leaders are selected, and also ensure that people are educated that ethnicity and religion is bad business for everybody. And one of the things I want to humanize, I'll give examples of certain things, okay, people in the political space, people in the business space, that Christians, Muslims, Yoruba, even their fellow Muslims or their fellow Christians will not come near where they're enjoying. But then when the election comes, they tell you this or that. I will call names, I will say at least humanize it. And since we are going around the whole country, they could feel, this is my man, this is my man. So if he's chopping well with this Christian, and then we are trying to die for them, not they saying it, but a sort of independent like us, saying, no, don't kill yourself because of your religion or your ethnicity. Don't mind some of these people, but we need to just make sure that we do our bit, and that is ensure that the right leadership, because it's been shown that a major problem we have is choosing wrong leader. But maybe you don't blame the people, because in the past it's been that votes don't count. So you can't really say they elected bad leaders. Okay, people just are imposed. But hopefully, all of us working on it, this will be the beginning.
Yeah, well, that's the broad strokes of it. I mean, in terms of the particular, you're talking, I mean, in the particular being exactly how you're going to actually educate Nigerians. I mean, you're talking about partnering with the Nigerian governors, the forum, the governors forum, the chambers of commerce, the local government association.
Yes.
How are you going to, how's that
if
going to
we
work?
go into that, okay. In the past, NESH had partnered with the Nigerian Governors Forum, and then Algon and Chambers of Commerce. We've had some roundtables in which we reach some decisions on what needs to be done. So we are trying to leverage on that existing partnership, okay, to add the layer of the importance of February election. The past things we had was in the area of production and in the area of health, okay, how we can make sure that primary health care all over the country works, which is under the purview of the local government. And then, of course, the issue of at least one industry for a local government based on resource endowment, which we put up the ecosystem that will make it work once the political will is there and the right leadership is there. So using that structure, okay, we now want to say, we can't get our primary health care right, we can't get our industrialization from, right, if the leadership is not there. So let's focus on, at least by February, put the right leaders in place, and then all the things we had agreed.
Right, but of course, the politics is a different animal, isn't it, from healthcare and all the rest of it. I'm curious to know whether this is incontrovertibly a non-partisan mission that you're embarking on.
Yeah, it is, but then maybe that's where also personal example comes in. That is knowing my background. Okay, if you look at the Yaradua Center, okay, you see a plaque there. My name is there amongst donors of certain category. Gold, by then, 1999, it was between 5 and 10 million. And some of the billionaires we have in politics now couldn't contribute 1 million naira then. But I never, for once, taken any political appointment, because as a matter of policy, I said I will never take a political appointment. That's one. Two, I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party. So the issue of being a member of APC or PDP or those things doesn't arise, even though the three presidential candidates of PDP, APC, and Labour are my very close friends. Same as, let's say, chairman of APC, okay, whom I've known since Abacha days, so on and so forth. So then, of course, the presidential candidate of APC, right from 1988, he's been my friend. So that background tells you why, because if you're not in something, which most people think you're stupid. Say, Emeka, you mean you don't want to say that? As a young man, Chief Aneni of blessed memory, who was, in quote, one of the most powerful politicians in the 1999 era, if he comes into Lagos, he comes to my house. And I was 30 something then, and he was that. But, so in other words, if I wanted something from, PDP, then Chief, but that's not my principle.
No, I totally understand that. Today, Nevertheless, it is important to be clear, although your organization is non-partisan and you are not a card-carrying member of any party, we need to be clear that this isn't some sort of political stunt to favor any candidate, because some people have suggested that you are a supporter of P2B and the Labour Party. You may not be in the Labour Party, but they've suggested that, and I wonder whether you want to address that.
It's something that I want to address, because we document something. Okay, if you remembered my intro, whatever it is that we're doing is to amplify the outcome of what took place October 1. Okay, I'm not adding A or B out of it. If you see anything outside that, then you say Emeka has added. But if you think that you don't want to get the message because you think that Emeka is supporting, okay, let me just come personal. My wife, okay, was the only female elected local government chairman 2020 in Enugu State, and she is PDP. Okay. Well, then somebody say, Emeka, if you're saying this, it's because your wife is PDP or you're this. Okay. Somebody would say, Emeka, Peter is your friend. Is it you're trying to favor Peter? A new and better Nigeria is possible. Sounds like what Labour is saying, but it's there. We chose this thing because of what took place October 1, and it's Pastor Oyemade. Okay, he's not P2B. If by coincidence Peter and Pastor believe in better Nigeria, so be it. I wouldn't say because of that, not let people know what we need to have a new and better Nigeria.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that point, and I think you clarified it very well. But also, you mentioned this in the past. I mean, it's curious and jolly interesting that your organization is really about entrepreneurship and essentially building businesses. I mean, building the economy. And one is curious to know why you said you were embarking on this because if you don't have a proper political structure, then there'll be no business.
Yeah, sure. You got it. That's the bottom line. I put it there that...
and I suppose politics and the economy, I mean, they kind of dovetail, don't they?
Political economy.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
If we're in a war situation, unless those who sell arms, and there are very few, will survive. Right. So that's why we took it on as a corporate responsibility.
So what will be the themes of your education? In other words, when you go to these states, what are you actually going to be doing there? What are you going to be saying to the people?
I think basically, we're saying that getting things right in February and March is very, very key to us. Don't overlook it. We are in a mess, and if we don't get it right, okay, let's have a conversation on why we need to get it. Because there are people who know how bad things are, so I don't have to tell them how bad. It's how to get out of the bad situation. And then getting out of the bad situation is there are people from all walks who are different backgrounds, have all examined it, not politicians. You know, kind of said we need to look at A, B, C, D. The number one is that of leadership. Then other things like structuring of the country, you know, so on and so forth, becomes the blocks. But if you get the leadership right at all levels, not just only the presidential, but of course presidential is top.
I understand that, but if you're going to educate the masses, you need yourself to have a clear understanding of what you're going to be educating them about. Are you clear on the messages and the vision, for example, of the different presidential candidates, for instance, or do you detect a sort of mismatch in their messages and their visions?
I think from what we also try to document, because because one of the things this publication will have, we intend to distribute as many thousands as possible. So it's not just only seen. So the other people would discuss it, and also we package it in such a way that people like to look at it and then read. And
you've got lots of glossy pictures in there, have you?
Read it again and again. Okay. So in that regard, that message is leadership counts, and for that leadership, the most important is character, because we've seen it before. People can say they want to do this, but what you look out for is the character of that leader.
So what's been the reaction so far to this rather bold and big ambition you have of crisscrossing Nigeria and politically educating the populace?
Yeah, I think part of the conversation, so that every part of the country joins in it, and some of our people, like I called one of my trustees, a former deputy governor of Central Bank, who is from Zaria in Kaduna State, said, when we are going to Kaduna, you organize things, we'll have to see the Emir of Zaria, and so on and so forth, and other people there. Okay, one of our colleagues too, Prince Bello Masido, because there are a group of us who have been discussing. We might say we early, but see, we keep on talking, and so-called other people who are in the field are messing all us up that we need to start doing something. So this is also an avenue for some of those people. When we are going to your own state, you also try and mobilize so that we'll go. I'm not going there because if I go to Sokoto, I'm not from Sokoto, but Bello Masido is from Sokoto. He knows where we need.
So you're leveraging on your business
network.
contacts,
and then
to
of
try
course,
and
since
get to the people.
Since the relationship with every local government is involved, then they will also be able to. We know who to engage.
Right, okay. Well, I want to wish you all the very best in that noble cause that you're embarking on. Emeka Ugwuoju is founder of Nigeria and Entrepreneurship Summit and Honors Foundation, or NESH. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Charles, for having me.